Open University, and then a lot of people from various sectors of life and looking various faculties also join in here. So I congratulate the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies for organizing this workshop here, and I'm sure that a lot of people would be listening to it. As rightly mentioned by the Vice Chancellor, the water is a very, very important resource, and it would be probably one of the most limiting resources as far as our economy is concerned, because we now talk about of $5 trillion economy. So if this is possible only if we probably have all resources. We can get resources like money and technology, etc. But the limiting factor, which now people are saying, would be the water, because if unless you have sufficient water, you may not be able to go anywhere near the goal of our industrial production or etc., which requires water. So water would become more and more critical in the years, and then water management has to be started now itself. Now, having said that, let's have a very small introduction on the water availability in India. See, water in India, there is, if you look at the average rainfall, there is sufficient rainfall across the country with very spatial and temporal variations, in the sense like areas like Rajasthan on the western side of India gets about 100 mm rainfall a year. On the eastern side of the country, Meghalaya, Andamans, etc., gets about 3,000, even up to 10,000 mm rainfall some places. So we have the area which gets the highest rainfall in the world, and also very scanty rainfalls in Thar, etc. area. So across the country, an average, I said, there should be sufficient water available if you take a statistical average. And also, our rainfall is temporarily distributed, because it is not that rain comes every year, every month. It comes only about 5-6 months of the year for a monsoon, and that too in that period, about 100 days rainfall is what we get, and those rainfall has to the water which comes in has to be stored and used for many different the purposes. So the temporal and a spatial variation of rainfall has to be taken into account, and also the growing population is one factor which actually increases the demand for the water. If you notice over the years, the rainfall, total quantity of rainfall received in the country in probably the last 100 years is almost the same. It is the total, if you look at it, again, statistically speaking, if you add up the total water received in the year, it remains the same. But now we see the rainfall intensity has gone up because of the climate change issues, etc. The rainfall, which used to be spread over maybe for 4-5 months, is now probably sometimes comes in very short time, maybe in 90 days, 50 days, 30 days, the rainfall comes in. So intensity of rainfall has grown up, and the issues associated with the climate change is more visible and more perceptible in the water sector, because the melting of ice, etc., are more manifested in the water sector. So this is something which also we should keep in mind. So with the growing in population in India, our per capita availability also goes down. It's natural if you have a constant numerator and the denominator keeps on increasing, the per capita availability goes down. So the population of India had gone about 3 times since independence. So naturally, if the numerator, which is the quantity of water received, remains the same, you divide by a 3 times number, the 1/3, the availability water also goes down by 1/3. So we are statistically, again speaking, in a water stress condition when we had 5,000 or plus cubic meter of water per capita in 1947. Now it's come to about 1,400. That's again statistically speaking. But having said these things, we also have to look at the issues why we are in a situation where we are facing some crisis in some places of the country. This is basically because the poor water management, and we'll have to probably address this. That's where the sustainable management of water resources is very important. And the topic of this year's World Water Day is the groundwater, make the invisible visible, is very, very crucial. Now I'll come to this very interesting World Water Day and the demand side of it and the supply side of it. Exactly a year back in 2021, Honorable Prime Minister launched the Jal Shakti Abhiyan Cash the Rain campaign, which has the theme called Cash the Rain Where It Falls, When It Falls. Cash the Rain When It Falls, Where It Falls is a very simple message. It looks for a decentralized storage of water, appropriate using appropriate technology and appropriate rainwater harvesting structures suitable to the climatic conditions and the soil conditions with people's active participation. This is what the theme of the Castellane campaign and the message or which we mentioned about in the Castellane campaign was catch the rain where it falls, when it falls. That is you store the water in situ in where it falls and when it falls. This is basically like a decentralized storage of water. If you notice earlier, where we spoke about temples of modern India, etc., the dams. The dams were necessary at that time when huge dams were built. The water, rainwater, which used to fall in some area, used to flow down to the river, and then we dam the rivers, and then it involved a large submergence of areas or probably shifting of people. Many villages were submerged, many animals were displaced, etc., were there. So now that has been found not very sustainable because of the other unexpected issues related to siltation of dams, because the volume for which the dams are built has now become one third. Some of the dams have actually reached about one third or the capacity, or even less than one third of the capacity because of the heavy siltation which had happened. There was issues of environmental issues, and sometimes some of the dams in the seismic zone creates a problem of fear, etc. The replacement and of people from there to relocation of the people to some other location, all these things were there. So now the thrust is on a decentralized storage of water, and this is the simplest way because it also involves people. Earlier dam involved displacement of people. It is most of a concrete and engineers and contractors work. But here, when we talk about decentralized storage of water, it involves you, me, everybody, so that whatever rain comes in our compound, you try to store it. So that's the Catch the Rain campaign, which PM launched last year. And it was actually going on for 1 year earlier also, where I had written to all the chancellors, requested chancellors to take up with the vice chancellors, and many vice chancellors had taken up very earnestly during the COVID period in 2020, because we thought that the best way is to involve education institutions or institutions which have large land area, particularly universities, and then big education institutions like IITs, IIMs, etc., which have very large land area. The institutions like the training institutes of Army, Air Force, etc., or airports, or cantonment boards, factories, etc., which have a lot of land with them. So we said that why don't we start looking at those institutions to store rainwater, which is falling into their area, and not let it going out and creating floods. So many vice chancellors have responded. Many of the universities have built small dams within their small ponds and other water harvesting structures to ensure that not a drop goes out of their compound. So that's the another message which we are telling was not a drop from my compound. That means all water which is flowing into the area by through rain, etc., would be stored in that area. That has proved to be very beneficial to many people in the sense that it has increased the water table of those areas. It has made more green in the greener campuses. It has helped reduce the cost of water supply to those areas, etc., etc. So in the campaign where PM addressed the sarpanches and he exhorted them to take part in the campaign, in this campaign. This would have been probably one of the biggest and the largest campaign launch ever in the world, with about more than 1 crore people listening to the PM's speech at that time. And the impact of it was that in the last 1 year, not even up to 1 year, up to October, November 30th, we have a figure of about 48 lakh water harvesting structures in the country built. It's spending over 75,000 crores, all decentralized. with no publicity. You would have seen otherwise seen a lot of publicity in TV channels and all these things. This is actually a people's movement where people were told to do on their own. So they themselves have helped in creating these structures. And we have in a portal photographs of more than 16 lakh water harvesting structures, which was constructed during this period. They also made water conservation plans in about 2.03 lakh Gram Panchayats, and also something called as Jal Shakti Kendras. You were mentioning about silos in water, because the water is divided into various departments in government. Some irrigation department handles the irrigation part, agriculture department handles the utilization part. There is a groundwater department. There is urban area, which municipalities which look after the drinking water in urban areas. There is rural water supply, which looks after the drinking water issues in rural areas. And so it was the water, which acts is actually one simple H2O, is getting divided into many state departments and never used to converge. So one of the biggest success of this Cash the Rain campaign, with the tagline "Where it falls, when it falls," was to integrate and synergize the funding options of all the departments and make them work together to conserve water. See, this is we had the breaking down the silos of groundwater, surface water, rural water, urban water, all as one water, and also try to set up what was called as Jal Shakti Kendras in every district. Jal Shakti Kendras is actually a knowledge center, a common resource center, which gives information about water of the district. So if you go to that place, it will also help you in finding out how much rainfall you get, how much runoff there, what are the rivers available there, how many water bodies are there, etc., etc. In fact, in the Jal Shakti Abhiyan campaign last year, we also did an enumeration of water bodies where we collected information about 15 lakh water bodies, geotagged them, and also did about 36 crore afforestation. So that's one aspect of sustainable. So that is the demand, the supply side of it. And let me also point out that India is the largest extractor of groundwater. Nearly 25% of world extraction of groundwater is done by India. And the next two countries which come in our place is US and China. Adding their total oil also would be less than the water drawn by India. So such is the amount of water which is drawn out for India for agriculture, from the underground water for irrigation. And that also accounts for about 20% of the energy drawn in the country is for drawing out this water from the underground. And unfortunately, 85% of the water usage in India is in agriculture sector, and with very poor efficiency. Our water use efficiency is very poor, less than 30%. And this calls for increased water use, our footprint, our water footprint is very high. Whereas a farmer in America probably uses about 3,000 liters of water to produce a kilo of paddy. For American farmer uses about 700 liters of water to produce 1 kilo of paddy. Our farmers use about 3,000 liters of water. So almost 3 times the one quantity of water is used for producing the same material. So water footprint is very high. There is a lot to be done in reducing the water footprint and increasing the water use efficiency. These are a couple of very important things in water management. So when we see that the supply of water is constant and our demand is increasing due to population, we have the largest bovine population, so livestock also requires water. We have large forest areas that also requires water. So when the availability of water is constant and the demand is increased, we have to look at how we can do a supply demand side management, and also how to store maximum water when we get rainfalls, etc. So that's where the Cash the Rain campaign came, very successfully done. But now we have to focus on the demand side management, where one, agriculture water use efficiency has to be increased. Agriculture, which uses about 85% of water, if we can bring about 10% change in agriculture usage, we can save as much water which is presently used for drinking water and other purposes. So that's a huge saving we can get if we use proper irrigation facilities like like drip irrigation, or new methods of crop diversification also has to be taken up, which crops which use less water can be taken up. Better irrigation facilities like drip and other the sprinklers, etc., can be taken up, so that the water usage is reduced. Also, water audits for the industry and agriculture was taken up by the National Water Mission, which also helps us in containing. I'll conclude with 3-4 important points because it's already 14 minutes. See, the three commonly mentioned R's of demand-side management is reduce, reuse, and recycle. That's the one which people commonly use it. That we have to reduce the usage of water by trying to improve the technology or the processes. We have to recycle the water. We have to reuse the water. There are different ways of using this water again and again. But two other important R's which we were adding as from the National Water Mission was, one is rejuvenation. River rejuvenation is very important. The small streams which have disappeared has to be small, tender to come up to life, and then flow this water will flow to become bigger rivers and then form to the bigger the rivers like Ganga, etc. So we are now focusing in the National Water Mission in the Namami Ganga to revive small rivulets which forms the smaller rivers and hence the Ganga revision. And the last and most important is giving respect to water. Because if you start respecting water, probably we may not misuse the water. So this is the platform for all of you, because the youngsters, in our youngsters' mind, if we can give or place this the attitude of respect to water, probably they'll be more conscious. They'll not be wasting water. And this respect is a traditional thing. We had been respecting water for many centuries, but over the years we lost it. We should get back the respect to the water. I conclude here with the request that the university and its team, particularly YVC was mentioning about the diploma and PG program, is very essential to get the message imprinted on the minds of people, because they are the one who's going to lead our nation tomorrow, and they should be made aware of the importance of water, because all other things can be created, water cannot be created. It can be. This is one message we should take back. Thanks a lot for this opportunity, for addressing this intellectual audience who can be ambassadors of change and who can be the propagator of this type of vital information to the people. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Your address was very informative, but also scary on another part. I would like to thank you for sharing us your views and also drawing our attention to the fact that community involvement is very essential for the managing of the water resources. Your work is commendable, sir, and thank you once again for showing the roadmap so as to how to conserve the water and other water resources. Thank you once again, sir. Our next speaker for today's national seminar is Professor Prabhashankar Shuklaji, Vice Chancellor, Northeastern Hill University, Shillong. Sir was earlier a professor at G.B. Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Uttarakhand. Sir has been a member of various institutes in the country, contributing to the scientific world with leading research work, and a lot of knowledge is there. And most of the research of the sir is in the field of seed science and technology. Sir has been awarded with the Scientist of the Year in 2011 and also in 2015. And sir was awarded with Shatabdi Samman in 2013. Sir, it's a matter of privilege that you are here with us on the celebration of World Water Day. I request you to share your remarks on this occasion.
Thank you. Just I would like to take 1 or 2 minutes to share the slides. Madam, can you please enable for screen sharing? The host has disabled the participant from screen sharing. That's required. That's required or not required? That's not required, so I can speak without the slide sharing.
Yes, sir, I will enable it, sir.
Okay. Next.
It is visible, sir.
Visible? Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Satisha and School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, IGNOU, for organizing such a program, which is one of the burning issue we all are dealing with right now. And also would like to thank Vice Chancellor Professor Nageshwar Rao, along with Professor Satyakam, Pro Vice Chancellor, and Sri G. Ashok Kumar, Director General, National Mission on Clean Ganga, Ministry of Jal Shakti, Department of Water Resource, River Development, and Ganga Rejuvenation, Government of India. I think both the speakers highlighted the different things of sustainable management of water resources, and we know the importance of water in the life of human beings, and several sayings in generally we are using Jal hi Jeevan, no life without the water, or just like. So after the oxygen, water is the most important or basic need without which we cannot survive, and the entire humankind will be at the risk of being extinct. So in Veda also, Adambi Sarvani Bhutani, Adambi Sarvani Bhutani, Jivanti Prabhavanti Cha, Tasmat Sarvesu Danesu, Tayo Danam Visyasyate. Therefore, the conservation and proper use of water resources is the need of the hour. We need to sensitize our younger generation as well as ourselves on how to use water diligently and conserve various natural water bodies around us. And the overall condition of the country, situation of the country, we know India is the one of the country where most of the water, most of the available water is consumed. As a previous speaker also mentioned, and 37 countries in the world consume 80% of their available water, because water sources are not harnessed optimally. And but this does not happen in the first world countries, where water management is par for the course. And India struggles to provide water to 3.2 million people of the Meghalaya, despite the state being the wettest place on the earth. This cannot be because of an intrinsic shortage of the water. And we know that just like in the picture, the different situation, lowest less than 10%, low to medium 10 to 20%, and medium high 20 to 40%. The different states position, and also can say we should work hard and try to enlighten people and ourselves about the conservation of the water. That is very important. Climate change is real and it is happening. Climate change manifests itself primarily through changes in the water cycle. As climate change, droughts, floods, melting glaciers, sea levels rise, and storms intensify or alter, often with severe consequences. This is a common thing, just like go to next slide, that the real position of the country in the different areas. And I just know The India, the position in the world largest groundwater user, and maximum water are used for irrigation purpose. And groundwater, the sources are 40% of the India's water needs, and it depleting at an unstable rate. According to the Niti Aayog, a government policy think tank also thinking in this area how to manage. Just like in different state, the position of the water and just like in Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, or Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, the minimum thing is. Another thing is in the Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh, as per Kerala, the maximum things. So the using of water resources in a way and at a rate that maintain and enhance the resilience of water system, and the benefits they provide is called sustainable management of the water. How to manage the water for the future generation. And something I would like to just say, the ability to meet the water need of the present without compromising the ability to future generation to do the same is what is required in the present times. Sustainable management of natural resources is important because it helps to use resources wisely without unnecessary use and without sacrificing on future generation needs. Reuse is better than recycling since it takes both energy and resources to recycle materials. Same thing applies to water as well, and we should learn how to use water, reuse and reduce the wastage so that we may be in a better position in the future. Water, once an abundant natural resource, it becoming a more valuable commodity due to drought and over uses. And India is one of those countries where most of the available water, just like we have mentioned, most of the available water is consumed and used. And there's recycling. The water movement adapted by the USA and takes a planning and implementation approach. How to use the water, recycle the water, conserve the water, reuse the water, management of the water with the application of the different technology. And USA already planned and implemented an implementation approach to managing finite water resources for long-term resilience and reliability in order to meet the both community and ecosystems. So just like this, we know how to manage in the industry area, domestic areas, and as well as the surface water, sustainable development, and the rivers discharges, ocean discharges. So this is a kind of circle. The management of the water playing an important role in our life. Next thing is just would like to mention here the India, the words I already discussed with you, the worst users and other things, and water management is important since helps determining the future expectation. Water management is the management of annually management in the different way, just like reliable, and reliable and resilient water utilities, thriving the cities, competitive business and industry. How to use the water in the competitive business, either in the chemical industries or in the steel industries and other industries. And reuse of the water, social and economic inclusion also, and healthy water waste. How to conserve the healthy water waste. Another thing, for the sustainable agriculture system, maximum water utilization in agriculture system, to develop a good kind of varieties which requires the minimum water. Earlier, the varieties developed by the scientist. Pantnagar University itself, also in other agriculture university, the requirement of water of high yielding varieties are more and more. But at this time, scientists are also working in this area and developing the new varieties which require less water. So with this way, we can save the water. At international level, the One Water movement adopted by the USA takes a planning and implementation. I already mentioned. Singapore is one example. Singapore has taken this challenge as an opportunity and has developed a governance and institutional infrastructure to move from water scarcity to water sufficiency by 2061 through forward thinking and comprehensive planning. In our country, we generally make a short-term planning, 5-year or 3-year or 2-year planning. But this is the need of the hour for a long-term planning. What will be in 2047? What will be in 2000 after 50 year or after 25 year or after 100 year? If sufficient water or not available, I think the human population will face the problem. Lot of problem will be arising in the future. So kind of just like Singapore having the have an example through forward thinking and comprehensive planning of water management. The country has been able to deliver one of the best urban water records in the world with access to water and sanitation, reaching the entire population in less than 50 years for successful water management. In our country, there are different agencies working under the Ministry of Jal Shakti, and they are working very hard on the sustainable management of water resources. The Ministry of Water Resources is responsible for laying down policy guidelines and programs for the development and regulation of the country's water resources. Central ground water boards, multidisciplinary scientific organizations with a mandate to develop the disseminate technology, monitor and implementation of national policies for the scientific and sustainable development and management of the country. And the Central Water and Power Research Station provides comprehensive research and developmental support to a variety of the projects in the areas of water and energy resource development and waterborne transports. Central Water Commission also doing the work in here, a premier technical organization in the country in the field of water resource, and is charged with the general responsibilities of initiating, coordinating, furthering in consultation with the state government concerned schemes for control, conservation and utilization of water resources throughout the country. The purpose of for the purpose of flood control, irrigation, navigation, drinking water supply, and water power development. Water quality also playing important role. Quality Assessment Authority is one of the most important aspect of the water management. Sustainable development, maintenance of quality, and efficient use of water resources to match with the growing demands on this precious natural resources of the country. And I can say we are celebrating 75th year of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. But are you aware or don't aware? But just going to put one example. Cherrapunji of the Meghalaya, known for the highest rainfall. Can you believe? At this time, or in 4 linear period, even the drinking water for the Cherrapunji in pupils, or you can in the area of the Cherrapunji, are not available at this time. Government is just managing, distributing the water through the tanks and other measures. What it means? It means the management of the water also required in those areas where the rain percentage or maximum. So how can we manage the water? Just like I also mentioned, our Prime Minister several times in first Man Ki Baat, me also said how to save the water. And this is one of the, just like the figure, June ends the monsoon deficit the 33%. And in our country, there is erratic rain. In some areas, the maximum rains are there. The rains are more than 200 centimeter or 400 centimeter. But in some areas, the rains are not 5% or 7%, 2%, 1%, like that. These are also varies in different areas. A small country takes the big step to conserve the water. But India is a highly populated country. We know, second in the world, and going to surpass or take the first position within 2 to 3 years, either I think after 2023 or 24, like that. To this respect, the management was after also very important. Government also started the different type of missions, just like a Jal Shakti Abhiyan campaign, to cover both rural and urban areas and to focus different areas. But in more than half of the state found severely lacking. You can just see the half of the areas in a different state, either the high performing state, more than 65%, depicted in different colors, medium performing 50 to 65%, and low performing state.
Quality of the content.
So this is the, so in this way, just like how to manage the different type, and manage the water resources also. Through storage in dams by diverting water from excess areas to scarcity areas, waterways, artificial recharging groundwater is required. And desalinating areas, sea areas, controlling pollution and reclaiming the polluted water through recycling, rainwater harvesting. Building the canals, already country is doing, channels towards water scarcity areas like the Indira Gandhi canal in the desert of Rajasthan. And sustainable water management requires allocating between competing water sectors demands demands, and as a result, private and public stakeholders must collaborate to help develop ways to manage water cycle collectively as a whole. Jal Shakti mission also doing the work to watershed development, targeted communication campaigns to aware the people to best utilization and management of the water conservation and rainwater harvesting. Just like in the new colonies, it must be calculated how many people are going to reside in this colony, what are their water requirement per day and in a year, and how to recharge or recycle the water for one building, and reuse the borewell recharge structure, just like in the area of the Uttar Pradesh, and also some areas of the Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, Punjab. Every year we are just taking the water from the land, but there is no recharge system. The kind of recharge system should also be applied in different areas. For the security point of view at the national level, different kinds of the water research, national water security mission started, and water related disaster security, and key dimensions of the key dimensions would like to emphasize the work should be emphasized in the climatological risk. Due to climatological, it may be drought, hydrological risk in the form of the flooding in some areas, and meteorological risk. So how to manage the climatological risk, hydrological risk, and meteorological risk? That's why our ex-Prime Minister, late Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, we started a mission to connection between among the different rivers of the country to divert the flooded water in different areas, and rural household water security. The key dimension in the rural household security access to the water supply, the total requirement of the water in a village, and access to sanitation, health impacts, and affordability of the villagers, as well as also mentioned in the urban areas. Economic water security. For the economic water security, the key dimension in the broad economy, I already discussed about the area of the agriculture, energy and industry, especially for the energy purpose in different areas. Hydropower points are there, just like one of the biggest hydropower point in the Tehri, just like the Tehri Dam. But what are the impact of the Tehri Dam on the other natural resources? It may be possible some natural resources recharge, but can we create the problem? So a long type impact study also necessary. Industry, I already discussed, need to discuss here. Urban water security, the urbanization of the different cities, to assess the water supply, requirement of the water, supply of the water, and where is the gap, and how to manage this gap with the reuse of the water, recycle of the water, or drainage in flooded areas, application of the drainage technology, and in the scarcity areas, supply of the management of the supply of the water, and in the environmental point of view, the catchment and aquatic. I already just mentioned the one example of the Cherrapunji. There is a need of the water management. How to harvest the water. Harvesting of the water is required, and storage water sets are required to conserve the water in that areas. And past our Home Minister visited in that areas and is already started work on water harvesting and water management. The Ministry of Water Resources are already different. I already, I think, discussed the Central Water Commission, Central Water and Power Station, Central Groundwater जो है position. I think need not to discuss in here, and proper implementation of other part of the general from the government side. As I think no, the general measures for the sustainable development in water resources, the proper implementation of Water Act is required. The water governance ought to make transparent, accountable, and participatory in every subsectors, including the management of the rivers, groundwaters are required to conserve the biodiversity and natural resources of the country. To control the water pollution, that was a very important areas. How to control the water pollution, how to just like the wastage of the several, especially in the reduction in the use of the chemical fertilizers. Some work is already going on in this area. I know how to use of the nano fertilizers. This will help in future. Plantation of trees, that is also very important. Watershed management program should organize systematically. In some areas, the work is already going on, but in some areas still, just like especially I can mention here in the Northeast, the emphasis on water management is required. Bring awareness among the farmers regarding the consumption of the water. Also, how to irrigate, when to irrigate the crops. So some technology can also, sensors can also play important role in this area. Means the so in the recommended irrigation in different crops are always vary. In some crops, three irrigation, some crops are 5 irrigation. But with the help of the sensors, we can just reduce the number of irrigation on the basis of requirement of the crops. And not only the crops, also the stages of the crops. Drip irrigation can also play an important role in these areas. Sprinkling irrigation can also play an important role in this area. Construction of the dams without creating the environmental problems. Interlinking of the rivers, I already discussed. Disputes of the water resources among the states and countries to be solved. In different countries, there is also some disputes. It should be also solved with the with the discussion among the pupils. And grey water recycling, a method of recycling of waste water from kitchen sink showers and laundries fixtures. Grey water recycling helps reduce household water uses by about 50%. But only few villagers know. Only few urban families know how to recycle the water. The kind of awareness is required in this area also. And smart water management using the different technology. I already discussed, but some benefits of the smart water management, just like the application of the sensor-based technology, reduce the leakage and reduce the water consumption, reducing the billing of diminish the cost, maintenance, and manage the pressures and consumption of the water, predict potential failures, where in the at the time of management, where we failure, and again think and manage the water, and the water conservation for future generation, or that is very important. So this is another thing is I already discussed with you the Jal Shakti, making the water conservation as a Jana Andolan. The water conserving, rainwater harvesting, reuse of water जो है, I maximum thing I discuss. So one of the goal of water resources management is water security. It is not possible to predict and plan a single path to water security for rapidly growing and urbanizing global population. So this is due to the climatic and non-climatic uncertainties. To help strengthen water security, there is a need to build capacity, adaptability, and resilience for the future planning and management of water resources. I hope this national seminar on sustainable management of water resources will enlighten us all, especially the younger generation, on how to use water diligently and wisely. I wish the organizer and other participants for a great success of this IGNOU program. All the very best for the program. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, sir, for sharing the valuable information on sustainable management of water resources and also making us aware about the one water approach. You have touched upon so many issues related to water, water security, and water management. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you.
Towards the end, I now request Professor B. Rupini to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Diksha Dave. Thank you, everyone. Very good afternoon. And National Seminar Chairperson, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageshwar Rao ji, and Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Satyakam ji, our Chief Guest, Honorable Shri Ashok Kumar, Director General, National Mission on Clean Ganga, Ministry of Jal Shakti, and most valued speaker, keynote speaker, Honorable Vice Chancellor, NEHU, Professor Shukla ji, Government of India. Respected Pro-Vice Chancellors, Professor R.P. Das ji, Professor Sumitra Kukriti ji, Professor Uma Kanjilal ji, Professor Mahapatra ji, and Professor Meena ji, and all directors of schools, divisions, heads, colleagues, and dear research scholars. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Professor B. Rupini, on behalf of Faculty, School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, and on my own behalf, extending a very hearty vote of thanks to all speakers for their willingness and also involvement to take on the completion of this work beyond their comfort zone, and gracing this occasion and sharing your important work with us, your findings and opinions on the themes of World Water Day 2022. Further, we are grateful to our first speaker, Shri Ashok Kumar ji, for demonstrating his experiences from exhaustive mission on Clean Ganga, for providing encouragement to talk in spite of present unpleasanting, alarming statistical data, and also the projected one for declining groundwater throughout the globe. Sir, you have emphasized not only worshipping of water, but it is also one of the limiting factor of water resources, which is linked with the Indian economy, presenting groundwater through cultural practices, but also focused on various strategies of government initiatives like catch the rain when it falls and where it falls with respect to Indian water availability. And also it extends up to decentralize the storage of water, suitability to the climate as well as the soil variety of that particular areas, and promoting government initiatives on sustainable technologies on water conservation with special emphasis on practices which are initiated by the synergizing the funding agencies for establishing Jal Shakti centers throughout the country, and also the demand side sustainable management of water by public participation with a mission of not only reduce, reuse and recycle, but rejuvenate the water bodies, which is a deed of our. Thank you very much, sir. I also wish to express my deep sense of gratitude to Professor Shuklaji for giving extensive coverage to his idea on interconnected challenges of water conservation and the role of climate change in the water manifestation by adopting sustainable agricultural practices. A special focus on natural resource and human capital with an emphasis on various sustainable drivers and touched upon consequences of global warming and replenishing. And sir, you have emphasized on statistics of Niti Aayog, a government policy think tank in management of water, and also to achieve restoration of water, some deep changes are required, not only with a collaborative network of young scientists, indigenous knowledge and various government initiatives like Jal Shakti Abhiyan for water movements, national water security with 5 key dimensions: access to water supply, broad economy access, and catchment and environmental governance, and also the climatological risk, which are at apex level for water management hierarchy, and also smart water management techniques by using the Internet of Things, but also implementation at various subsectors. It is very, very informative, sir, and also thought-provoking lecture. We are all inspired by both your great lectures and also sensitively reminded our responsibility towards water conservation, water management with respect to save the water, sir. And now I express my deep sense of gratitude to our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Satyakamji, for his valuable opening remarks on the environmental water philosophy, human-centered attitudes towards the nature interconnectedness of life. Thank you, sir. We have been fortunate enough to have our chairperson, our own Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Nageshwar Raoji. Sir, without your constant encouragement and instinct support, an event like this cannot happen overnight. You have made emphasis on natural disruptions and significance of environmental concerns and to maintain the equilibrium at our end. Thank you very much, sir. And special thanks to the director, COE, for necessary technical support to organize this national seminar. Thank you very much, sir. And finally, and importantly, I thank our own director, Professor Shachisha ma'am, who have been the backbone of this event. I once again want to state that we are very grateful to all speakers of this today and participants as well as the research scholars as well. We thank you all once again for being with us today. It has been a great pleasure. I wish you all a very happy World's Water Day, and we do have to respect water with our deeds. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Again, wish to you for successful completion of this.
Thank you so much, sir.
Update.